The Vikings weren't just seafarers from the history books. They were the embodiment of terror itself. They raided villages, plundered everything in sight, enslaved people, sacrificed them, and even offered their blood to the gods. In this video, you're about to hear 10 truly disturbing Viking facts that might make you uneasy. If you're ready, let's begin. 1. The blood eagle. The punishment that opened flesh. Not a myth, a grim reality. The Vikings punished traitors using a horrifying method called the blood eagle. They would slice open the victim's back, pull the ribs outward, and spread the lungs like wings. And if the victim was still alive, they were considered a sacrifice to the gods. 2. They sacrificed human beings to the gods. In some temples, especially in Uppsala, people were offered alive to Odin and Thor. Soldiers would hang the captives on trees or cut their throats and let their blood flow to the ground. This was something done to fertile the land. 3. Skull cups. They would cut off the heads of the enemies they killed in battle, empty them and use them as trophies and glasses. During Viking events, alcohol was sometimes drunk from the skull of the enemy. 4. Draugr. Vikings. Afraid of the dead. Vikings believed that their dead could leave the grave. In this way, they would chain the dead, stuff stones into their mouths, and sometimes stick knives into their hearts. Otherwise, those corpses could have killed those who returned to the village at night. 5. Meal of the dead. Ritual. At many Viking funerals, the priest or shaman would eat a piece of meat from the deceased's chest to take away the deceased's sins. This was called dead food. So, if someone died, someone else would take his sins on himself. That is, swallow them. 6. Female victims. When a Viking chieftain died, one of his slaves was willingly slaughtered, but that wish was usually fulfilled by force. During the ceremony, the woman would be forcibly knocked unconscious, strangled, and burned along with the chief. The reason is so that it can serve him in the afterlife. 7. They used to burn people at their funerals. Viking ship funerals sound romantic, right? It wasn't like that at all. In fact, it was scary. Corpses, some animals, and sometimes live slaves were placed inside the ship, and the ship was set on fire. For them, the way to salvation was through burning. 8. Berserkers. They weren't like humans. These warriors would eat hallucinogenic mushrooms before battle and lose consciousness. Their eyes would roll, they would get angry, and they would kill friends and foes alike. Some would go crazy enough to shatter their own shields with their teeth. 9. Victims with their eyes gouged out. In some Odin rituals, the victim's eyes were removed, and the power of sight was offered to the god, because, according to the belief of the Vikings, Odin sacrificed one of his eyes in order to attain wisdom. 10. Their souls wandered on ships. Vikings believed that the souls of dead warriors passed through the sea fog, to the howling of the wind. They said, they are the voices of those who go to Valhalla. That's why the north wind still feels scary. Vikings were not just warriors, but a dark and frightening world where fear, pain, and faith mixed together. On the one hand, they were heroes, and on the other hand, they were the devil himself. And perhaps that's exactly what made them unforgettable for centuries, to be engraved in history with its horrors. Well, if you had lived in that era, would you be a Viking, or are you their victim? Write in the comments.